Good afternoon, everyone. Shalom, I'm David Mensa, spokesman for the National Public Diplomacy Directorate in the Prime Minister's office. Today it's Thursday, May the 8th, day 580 since the October 7th atrocities, but also 80 years since VE Day, the day the Nazi regime, history's most evil machinery of genocide, was defeated. 80 years ago, the Shoah, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews, finally came to an end. Hitler was defeated, the crematoria went cold, the gates of the death camps swung open, the world vowed never again. But 80 years, unfortunately, is not such a long time. Today, in Europe, in Germany, where the final solution was born, Jews are again afraid to wear a kippah, from the left to the right, from radical Islamist extremists. Anti-Semitism is unfortunately rising once more. That's not just a tragedy, it's a betrayal of the memory and of morality and of the vow never again. So while Israel honors and remembers the sacrifices made on the altar of freedom, Israel also ensures that never again is not just a promise, but for Israel it's a policy. For Israel, it's backed by strength, and for Israel, it's upheld with resolve, and for Israel, it's heard by every enemy of the Jewish people, wherever they may be. Next, on the threat across the Syrian border, Israel won't allow the transfer of forces and munitions south of Damascus. These attempts have been thwarted. Why? Because they threaten our citizens and our armed forces. IDF forces are defending the Druze villages in southern Syria, and I can share with you, as announced today, that Israel has begun operating a forward mobile triage facility in southern Syria near the village of Hadar. Israel is supporting the Syrian Druze population and will ensure their safety. Next, on the situation in Gaza, let me be clear with you about the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Gaza doesn't face a humanitarian crisis, it faces a Hamas crisis. Hamas steal the aid, they prolong this war, they are to blame. Israel's experts are in constant coordination with international partners to monitor and improve the humanitarian situation. Hamas has seized control of over 25,000 aid trucks that entered Gaza during the hostage release pause. This aid was meant for civilians, for Gazans. Hamas stole it. Now, Israel is actively exploring mechanisms to ensure the future aid reaches only those in need and not the Hamas terrorist regime. All the while, Hamas can end this war and ease the suffering in Gaza today by releasing the 59 hostages they still hold and laying down their arms. Until they do, the entire population of Gaza remains a hostage of Hamas. Hamas alone bears responsibility for this crisis. Hamas could end this war tomorrow. They could release the hostages and lay down their arms. That way the suffering will end. But Israel will not let Hamas starve Gaza and blame Israel. The world must see through this cruel manipulation. It's a tragedy that children in Gaza are suffering, but to be clear, they are suffering at the hands of Hamas. The real tragedy is that the UN says little about Hamas using Gazans as human shields. The UN's silence, unfortunately, is shameful. The blame lies with Hamas and with those that enable them through active support. On our dear hostages, the remaining 59, let me give you an update. Israel believes that there are 21 alive. We know that for sure. The Prime Minister said last night that there are 3 more for whom we are extremely concerned. Israel will not give up. Israel will never give up. We will bring them all home. Hamas's military and governing capabilities will be destroyed, and the terror threat from Gaza will be removed, and we will not stop until these goals are achieved. This is not just Israel's war, it's also the world's battle against barbarism. And on the Houthis in Yemen, over the last number of days, they have suffered heavy blows from Israel. As ever, Israel, in partnership and in cooperation with our allies in the US and others, is prepared for any mission. Of course, Israel will defend itself by itself. Yes, the distances are great, but Israel has the capability to defend itself against these Iranian-backed jihadis. Israel has a long arm, and we will use it. If others join us, like our dear friends, the Americans, then that is excellent, that is good. But if they don't, we will defend ourselves by ourselves. And to Iran, that finances, that arms, that operates manipulates and operates the Houthi terrorists, the proxy system which Iran is using is over. Iran's axis of evil has collapsed. Iran bears direct responsibility. What Israel has done to Hezbollah in Beirut, what we've done to Hamas in Gaza, what has happened to Assad in Damascus and the Houthis in Yemen, we will also do to Tehran if needs be. The Defence Minister made that clear today. That's the end of our briefing here today. We'll now take your questions. Please put them in the chat together with your name and news outlet, and we will take your questions. Okay, first question I can see here is from Jason Perry at NTD News. Terrorist groups, your question says, terrorist groups surrounding Israeli territory have taken significant damage since the war started. Does Israel still believe that Iran is currently financing and providing weapons to those terrorist networks? Thank you for that question, Jason. Yes, in the last part of my briefing just now, I made that very, very clear. I can point you, Jason, to a tweet made by our Defence Minister just today, where he makes that clear and he lists the details of Iran's support for that axis of terror. Israel understands full well what Iran is. I would just remind you that Israel has just succeeded in a long and difficult mission in striking the Houthis. It is far. It required refueling of our aircraft. Iran, on the other hand, is a closer destination. Of course, Israel will always prefer the peaceful option, but Iran, the Iranian regime in Tehran, is a genocidal, Islamo-fascist regime hated by its own people, and Iran would do well to understand Israel's determination against the threat which they pose this country. The Prime Minister has made very clear over the years that Iran cannot be allowed to achieve a nuclear weapon. President Trump agrees with this. He's made that abundantly clear. So, of course, Israel supports the discussions happening right now, the maximum pressure campaign, which has worked before, but we're also under no illusion that Iran's nuclear ambitions, the strategy which we've employed in the past, has deterred Iran. That pressure was removed, now it has returned. So Israel welcomes the return of that maximum pressure campaign, and President Trump and the Prime Minister see eye to eye on the Iranian nuclear threat. Okay, next question here is from Melanie Lidman. You're talking about food situation in Gaza shutting down because of a lack of food, and malnutrition is rising. Will Israel let food into Gaza while it is actively exploring mechanisms? Some sources are saying Israel may let in flour. Is there any information on that? Thank you for that question, Melanie. I shared with you our current views, the government's current views on that situation, and it was just a few moments ago that I shared that with you. Next question here is from Nava Friedberg from the Times of Israel. You've got a whole bunch of questions here. There's quite a, I think I can see 6 questions here. Let me point out the ones which I haven't addressed yet. If we just go up a bit, there we go. Yeah, okay. You're asking about President Trump's referral to the 3 hostages, which President Trump referred to, recently. Does Israel view this? How does Israel view this comments by President Trump? Look, Nava, we've said very, very often, the Prime Minister's made this crystal clear, that we've never had a closer friend of Israel inside the Oval Office. We very much welcome President Trump's and the American people's commitment to the security and the safety and the ongoing future of this country. We see eye to eye in every single way. There is no daylight between our 2 governments because we coordinate all of our actions together. The Prime Minister referred to the issue of the hostages last night. He shared with you, as I did in my briefing just a few moments ago, that we are extremely concerned. We believe that 21 are alive. We have information for that fact, but there are 3 where we don't have that information and for which we are extremely concerned, and the Prime Minister expressed that last night. Next, you asked that Syrian President Shara confirmed indirect talks with Israel. Who's representing Israel in these talks? What's the scope of Israel's engagement? I've got nothing to share with you on that. I've also made our situation clear on Syria and our defense of specifically the Druze community in southern Syria. You've also asked another question about Shara from Syria also claims he's pressuring allies of Israel's to halt IDF strikes in Israel. Is Israel reconsidering its military activities there? And thank you for that question, Nav. I've made our position very clear on Syria a couple of moments ago. Next, you asked, to what extent is Trump's upcoming Middle East visit influencing our operational timeline or strategic decisions in Gaza? Thank you again for that question, Nava. Again, all of our actions are, the US, Washington, D.C. and Jerusalem are working side by side, shoulder to shoulder. We are fully coordinated, we are fully cooperating, and as befits the closeness of our relationship and the shared values and also the shared threats that we face. Okay, and I think your last point here, reports suggest that the PMO is concerned that about a potential deal struck by President Trump with the Houthis, and you're asking if there's concern in Israel about that. Thank you for that question, Nava. Thank you for your 6 questions, Nava. I think I've answered all of those questions already in my briefing, and I'm happy to share with you the text of what I shared with you today to be able to get an understanding of our position. But we've already made Israel's position when it comes to the Houthis extremely clear. We have been working extremely closely with our allies on the threat from the Houthis, and of course they are backed by Iran. But if necessary, while always working in cooperation with the US, Israel will defend itself. We have done in the past, and we will continue to do in the future. That is the ultimate responsibility of Israel's government, is to defend its own citizens. The Houthis are a terrorist organization, recognized the world over as a terrorist organization. They're an Iranian proxy, and Israel has a right and a duty to defend itself against that threat. And we know full well how to defend ourselves against that threat, as has been shown over the last few days. Question from Fred Ager from Interplanetary TV, and it's regarding President Trump's closed-door conversations about a Middle East policy objective regarding ongoing negotiations with Saudi Arabia. Again, I think I've discussed that I've discussed that question already Fred, our relations with the US are as close as it's possible to be. All of our actions between the two governments are fully in cooperation and in coordination with each other. That has not changed. Israel perceives President Trump to be its closest friend that we have had ever in the White House in Washington, D.C., and that important relationship, it's mutually beneficial. We share the same threats. We share the same analysis as well about the threat from Iran, and that is why we believe that Iran can never, ever be able to have a nuclear weapon. Okay, finally, Melanie Lidman, you asked about aid going into Gaza. Just go up a bit. Let me just have a look at your question again, because, okay, you're asking... some sources are saying Israel may let in flour. Is there any other information about that? Thank you for that question, Melanie from AP. Look, I think that I've shared with you fully our position when it comes to aid. In Gaza, I'm happy to share with you that again, because you know the hunger which currently exists. The story of the hunger which currently exists in Gaza, this is hunger which is engineered by Hamas. It's very, very important to remember that. It is hunger which is engineered by Hamas. They have repeatedly taken control of the aid, and unfortunately this story is repeated without question by so many in the media. Hamas hijack humanitarian aid that was sent in a couple of weeks ago. So now it's in Hamas's hands. They could release it to their people. So our battle is with Hamas, not with ordinary Gazans. It is a tragedy when ordinary Gazans suffer because of Hamas. They suffer because Hamas started this war, and they suffer because Hamas do not end this war with the release of our hostages and the laying down their arms. Yes, I can confirm that Israel is examining ways right now, as we speak, so that aid can be delivered into Gaza to get to the people that need it, and not to Hamas, who steal it. And we know that they use that aid to fund their terrorist operation. Okay, I think that's the last question here today. Thank you for joining us. We'll have another briefing next week. Please do stay safe. You can contact us in the usual way if you have any further questions or for an interview request. But in the meantime, we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.